Yo, what is up, guys? And welcome to my GPC Season 4 Week 9 Team Builder. So, obviously, first time I've done a team builder this season. Reason being, I actually finally have time for the first time all year. I'm done with my baseball season, and this is the last week of my college classes, and my finals or exams or whatever you want to call it are not very hard, so I'm done studying for them, so I'm pretty much free, and that means I have more free time to do stuff. So I thought that'd actually make a team builder video this week, and we're going to start by looking at the Division B standings. So like I explained last week, which I did a shitty job editing because I forgot about this at the end, and it completely cut this off, but as you can see, Pierre is in first, 7-1. Robin is in second, 6-2. He has just let's scoot that over. Yeah, he has Robin has a better differential than us because I had to win 3-0 or better to surpass him. But now we're at a point where if he loses and I win, then I will surpass him regardless because of win-to-loss ratio and stuff. And then Bluesy is 6-2, and we're 6-2. So this week we are going to be taking on Bluesy and the Edinburgh Nites, and also this week, which is the final week of the regular season, Pierre and Robin are going to be playing, which means the winner of this game and the winner of this game are likely to they will make playoffs. These two games decide who makes playoffs. I don't believe there's any way that it can be different. I'm trying to think of any possible anomaly, but I don't think there is one because of the bottom three, or the 2, 3, 4 teams are all 6-2, and whoever. You get what I mean. Okay, I'm gonna ramble and this is gonna be awkward, but yeah. So I'm taking on Bluesy this week, and the team he has, which will probably pop up on your screen right about now, is Victini, Mega Gyarados, Mamoswine, Klefki, Roserade, Electros, Noivern, Hitmonlee, Gigalith, and Raticate. Obviously, last two mons aren't that good, but the reason Bluesy's been had so many wins this season is pretty much because of Mega Gyara. Mega Gyara is the league MVP right now. I believe it's 20-4, which is absolutely ridiculous. He has been extremely lucky in some of his games, whereas if he didn't have hacks, he probably would not be close to 6-2. But it is what it is, and I have not seen Bluesy as a threat in the past, but I definitely see Bluesy as a threat to me right now because he has a team that he's very comfortable with, and he has been playing extremely well this season, and he has the most dominant mon, the killingest mon in the format right now in Mega Gyara, and he also has Mamoswine, which is ridiculous. And basically his plan every week, or most weeks, is get screened up with Klefki and then sweep with Mega Gyara. That's been more or less that's pretty much what he's been doing. And then he also throws in Victini and Mamo, which do a bunch of damage against teams, and he's pretty repetitive with a lot of his sets. He's going to obviously run support Klefki, and I'm positive that he's going to bring Klefki. I'm almost certain that he will bring Victini, Mega Gyara, Mamoswine, and Klefki, and I'm almost certain that he's going to bring Electros and either Hitmonlee, Roserade, or Noivern for his last slot. I don't think that Raticate or Gigalith have any sort of a good matchup against me, because Raticate can't even 2-hit KO a Porygon 2, so I just don't see its worth. But if he wants to bring it, that's fine. It's one less mon that I have to worry about. So I'll talk about why what am I going to talk about? I don't know. I don't have a plan for I'm recording this, but I'm pretty sure that those first 4 mons on his team are coming. Klefki and Gyarados are like his bread and butter. He sets up screens and sometimes safeguard, which is really kind of interesting for a Gyara, and then Gyara just comes in, and Gyara's ridiculously bulky, which I did not recognize until I started running calcs. It is beyond fat, which is ridiculous. It doesn't die to anything. Well, it actually does die to one thing on my team, which is cool. Victini's a threat, Mamoswine is a threat, Roserade is a big threat, Noivern's a threat, and Hitmonlee are all threats, and so is Electros. Electros is super awkward to switch in on. So he has... I definitely think that pretty much everything on his team, bar Gigalith and Raticate, have a chance to come to this game. And I think it's more of a toss-up between Roserade, Noivern, and Hitmonlee for that last slot. But who knows? I'm prepared for everything on his team pretty much, so let's show you guys what I brought. And I'll talk about what I'm most afraid of and stuff. So the 6 mons I brought are Tangrowth, P2, Thundee, Heracross, Megalop, and Nidoqueen. So Nidoqueen's going to get a perfect attendance of 9 for 9 this season, which is kind of cool. So basically, I'm very, very proud of my team build this week. I'm very, very proud of it, and I think that it's going to give me the best chance of winning. And once again, just like last week versus Robin, I built a team, and then on Sunday night or Monday night, I built a team, and then instead of just like saying, boom, that's done, one of the things I think is very important is to leave yourself room to think about things, because I'll typically build a team very early in the week, and then I'll just give myself time to think about it and think of different things that can work and see, okay, these mons all work well, but is there something else I can do that's going to give me a better chance at winning? And on my second build, which was a complete rebuild, all I did was copy a few EV spreads and sets and stuff, but I decided to build my team around Yache Berry, offensive Tangrowth. So Shoggoth, my Tangrowth, holding the Yache Berry with Sleep Powder, Earthquake, Hidden Power Ice, and Leaf Storm. 240 in HP, max special attack, modest, and 16 in speed. Now, I really would like to run Quiet so I can have a little more power on my Earthquake, but the thing is, I want to outspeed his Electros because it is also base 50, and Electros is a problem to my team, so if I could outspeed that thing and put it to sleep, that would be Christmas. So yeah, I really would like that. Problems with the set, well no, let's talk about the good things about the set and why I brought this set. So first of all, he's got a Megagara and he's got a Mamoswine, two huge threats that rely on ice coverage to kill grass types. And if he's running something like Crunch, it's a +3 Crunch fails to kill this thing if he's Jolly, which he has to be, in my opinion. If he's not Jolly Gyarados, then he is outsped at +1 by my Mega Lopunny, which I don't think he'll want to do. If he does, then it's fine with me because it's slower and hopefully easier to pick off, because Megagara is a very big threat because it's strong and can sweep teams. But one of my main focuses of this team was don't get swept by Gara, because that would be embarrassing because Gara is not a good Pokemon and Bluesy is a bad player. Just kidding, Bluesy, you're good. But this set was kind of was a lure and counter to Megagara and Mamoswine, because Yache Berry, it's going to let me chew an Ice Fang very, very easily from Megagara, and it's going to let me absolutely chew a Icicle Crash from Mamo to the point where I can easily switch in on Life Orb Earthquake and then chew a Icicle Crash afterwards, and praying I don't get flinched, I will be able to handily knock it out with a Leaf Storm, or predicting a switch. If he's detecting my Yache bait, then go for Sleep Powder and sleep something. So Earthquake is there to hit the Klefki and hit the Victini. I ran a few calcs. Earthquake's still doing a fair bit to both of them. I would like to run Quiet, but I don't want to be underspeeding the Electros no matter what, so that's why I ran 16 speed EVs, so that I just creeping up on that thingy. And the HP investments, just to make it fat, it takes a like I said, it takes a +3 Crunch from Megagara, which is insane if it's Jolly. It can take EQ plus Icicle Crash very, very easily from Mamo. I have HP Ice there because it hits Roserade for some good damage, and it hits Noivern for some good damage. And Sleep Powder is just really nice because putting something to sleep on Bluesy's team would be really nice, because all of his things are kind of problematic for me to some extent. And of course, if he has Roserade, then I can't sleep that thing. And if he does have Roserade, then I'm assuming that it's going to be his primary switch into Tangrowth, and I'll probably just fire off an HP Ice right away if I see that thing and I'm in a favorable spot where I don't have to attack what's in front of me and all that kind of stuff. I do have a nice switch into Rose being my this guy, because, you know, it's B2 and it eats everything. But HP Ice is there because I wanted to build the potential switch-ins being the Noivern and the Roserade for some good damage. Obviously, Victini, if it's bulky, can switch into it, or even if it's not bulky, it can typically switch into it. So if I can Sleep Powder it or hit it with an Earthquake after Stealth Rock, it should be a 2-hit KO, I think. And it gets close to 2-hit KOing non-Phys Def Klefki, which I think will run Spadef, but I don't know, maybe. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure what kind of sets he's going to bring, because it's kind of hard to predict what Bluesy's going to do with Mons like Klefki and Victini, since one, they're super versatile, and Bluesy has some very interesting ideas that are... he's hard to predict. He does have some tendencies. Other things to note are that he really has a lot of different Mamoswine sets. That's like one of his things. He really likes Coil Electros, which I'd much rather face a Coil Electros than a mixed Assault Vest thingy, because it's a much bigger threat to my team. But yeah, Tangrowth is just really, really good against his team offensively, because that Grass and Ice just does a lot of work, and also Earthquake and Sleep Powder and shit. So yeah, that is Tangrowth, and when I was thinking about this, I went to the gym, and actually the night before I thought, Yachi Berry Tang would actually be pretty cool, and I knew that I couldn't just slap it on my team. I'd have to do some rebuilding. And driving home from the gym today, I was thinking about things that would work well with this and that would make a good team that works together. And the first thing that I thought that would be really, really nice to go along with Tangrowth and just for overall team synergy was P2 and meet Digital Burb, which just Eviolite with Trace. I really like Trace because I can copy Klefki's Prankster and get Prankster Recover, which sounds pretty bitchin'. I've got Recover, Trick Room, Foul Play, and Thunderbolt with max HP, 216 defense with a Bold Nature, and 40 in special defense with 0 attack IVs because Foul Play and stuff. So this is something that I thought about, and I really think that Trick Room is going to be very, very, very effective late game against Bluesy's team, because he's shown that he really doesn't allow his Gera to get checked by status, because he's used stuff like Safeguard Klefki in order to prevent his Gyarados from getting paralyzed and not sweep teams. So I thought that Trick Room would just be a really, really good option to take down Mega Gera late. And also, Trick Room, with how I built as a more semi-room kind of team, I have 2 other mons aside from Tangrowth, which really, really benefit from being under the Trick Room. And also this allows me to try and beat potential stuff like Unburden or Scarf Hitmonlee late, fast Roserade, because a lot of my team's slower than Roserade. That Noivern is a huge threat, and obviously if he's boosting up with the Gyarados and also Victini. So I thought that just Trick Room would be very, very nice to have a semi-room aspect to my team. Foul Play is there because I need something to hit the Mamo and the Victini, because those things are threats. I can switch into the Mamo, of course it's going to have knockoff and superpower and those shenanigans, and Abandoned V-Create does a buttload to P2, but if I don't have to switch in on it, or if I can switch in on something that's like not a Specs Focus Blast and not Abandoned V-Create, then P2 can just chew anything else from Victini. Obviously, if he's like bulky with Will-O-Wisp, that's less than ideal, because that would kind of render Foul Play useless, but getting chip damage on Victini is nice because it doesn't have recovery, and if I can get rocks up, then it's going to get chipped away, because Victini is a big threat if he brings it offensively or defensively, because it's just got a good tight matchup against my team, which is spooky. And then Thunderbolt is there for coverage, mainly to hit the Gyarados, also hits Noivern for a little bit. Obviously, having Bolt Beam would have been ideal, or having 3 attacks would have been ideal, but I saw that Trick Room was very, very, very helpful in this matchup, and I also really wanted foul play so that I could weaken shit like Victini and Mamoswine. So while I can switch into a lot of his team, I can switch into the Noivern and the Roserade very well, unless Noivern's going for Specs, Focus Blast, or Hurricane. I can just switch in and then kind of sit in front of them and be annoying, and just try and formulate how I'm going to switch out and how I'm going to take it on. So obviously can't do everything with this, but it is a nice pivot, and the defense investment is to take, I believe this takes a +2 crunch from Mega Gara, because, you know, I don't want to get swept by a fucking Mega Gyarados because it's a big threat, and I do have the means to prevent being swept by that. And this also can take a non-banded V-Create from Victini like a champ, which is cool. I can Trick Room and recover and shenanigans and stuff and things. So yeah, Digital Bird, really, really important because, one, it defensively checks things, and setting Trick Room for Heracross, Nidoqueen, and Tangrowth are all going to be, could all have huge late game benefits or even mid game benefits. So obviously, I'm going to have to be smart with Trick Room because I've got some speed control on my team in Thundy and Lop, and this is kind of risky because I'm actually not bringing a Choice Scarfmon, which does seem a little risky, but I'm going to go with it. So my third addition to the team was my very strong Burb, my Thundurus T, with lefties, Volt and Volt Absorb, with Taunt, Volt Switch, Hidden Power Flying, and Focus Blast, with 4 in HP, max Special Attack, and max Speed, Timid Nature. I need max speed so I can outrun Victini since base 100, and I'd prefer to not be outsped by a Victini if possible so I can damage it. So this is another, this is an anti-Gara measure, it's an anti-Klefki measure, and it's a really big supporter for ways to break down his team, because one, Taunt stops Klefki and Taunt stops Mega Gyarados, because I know how Bluesy kind of functions, and he would most certainly try and set up a Dragon Dance in the face of a Thundurus behind a light screen, because Gyarados is just so bulky, and behind a screen it's even bulkier, which is ridiculous. Mega Gyarados is absolutely fat as fuck, it's crazy. But Taunt is there, Taunt stops the Dragon Dancing, Taunt stops excessive setup on Klefki, Taunt stops excessive coiling with the Electros, it can prevent Roserade from doing shenanigans, it prevents his team from doing shenanigans, and I really, really wanted that. Volt Switch over Thunderbolt, because most likely his switch into Thundy T is going to be his Electros, because switching in Mamo is not advisable because, you know, Focus Blast one-shots it, unless he's Assault Vest, which I think he could be, but once again, not advisable because I have fast fighting types which just beat that thing anyways, so I don't think he'll bring Assault Vest. If he does, that sucks, kind of, but it hits a little less hard, and Shoggoth and P2 can switch into it. So Hidden Power Flying, second option. I was going back and forth between Psychic and Hidden Power Flying, but because I have Focus Blast in my last slot, which is my means of hitting Electros for the most damage, as well as being able to hit the Mamoswine and the Klefki for a lot of damage, I decided to go with HP Flying, because originally my set was something like Taunt, and insert electric move, either T-Bolt or Volt Switch, Psychic, and Knock Off, but I really don't want to allow any Mamoswine to just be free against anything on my team, because Mamoswine's a problem. So I decided that Focus Blast would be really nice for that. Also lets me hit Klefki without having to Volt Switch out, and also does some nice damage to the Electros. Knockoff would have been kind of nice, but, you know, 4 move slot syndrome, and I thought that Taunt would be really, really helpful in this game. So HP Flying was the best coverage overall after that, because it's going to hit the Roserade for the same amount of damage as Psychic would, it's going to hit the Noivern for the same amount of damage, and it's going to hit the Hitmonlee for the same amount of damage, as well as the Mamoswine. And it's going to do more damage to Victini than a Psychic would, which is good because chipping away at that Victini, if it's bulky, would be ideal, because Hidden Power Flying, Volt Switch with Stealth Rock would be kind of nice to break that thing down. If he's bulky Victini, then Porygon 2 can just switch in really easily. because non-banded or non-specs or non-life orb or something is a little less spooky. So yeah, this thing, great pivot, and one of the situations that I am prepared for is that I have this in on something, be it Klefki, be it Gyarados that's not behind a screen or something like that. Something that does not want to take a hit from Thundurus to the face. Or if I taunted the Klefki, then it has no purpose and I can Volt Switch out. His most likely switch-in is Electros. That's what I think. A Spadef Coil Electros is probably what he's going to be bringing against my team. That's just what I think. So that seems very obvious to me, and if I can just catch that and Volt Switch on that thing and gain initiative into my next Mon, then I will be in a very good spot. So this is my only Mon with initiative on this team, but I think it's kind of all I need because the switch-ins to Thundy are broken by other Mons on my team. Mainly my next Mon, which is my Punchy Bug Heracross. So I'm bringing the Toxic Orb Gut set with Close Combat, Stone Edge, Mega Horn, and Swords Dance. 32 in HP, 252 attack, and 224 speed with the Jolly Nature. So this thing is my huge wall breaker and also a very, very great late game cleaner under Trick Room against Mons like Victini and Noivern if he decides to bring those, and Roserade for that matter. So Guts Hera with the Toxic Orb just blows things away. If I am correct with my assumption that Electros will be his Thundurus switch-in, I can Volt Switch on the Electros switch-in, go into Heracross, have my Toxic Orb activated on that turn, and then what switches in? If I have Stealth Rocks up, he has no good switch-ins that won't take a buttload of damage from a Close Combat, Stone Edge, or Mega Horn. This coverage just absolutely decimates his team. This is also a nice answer to Klefki, because if I can get my Toxic Orb and avoid being poisoned or paralyzed and stuff, which paralysis wouldn't be terrible because I still get the Guts boost without the Whittle, even though it's less than ideal because, you know, para hacks and stuff, but things, you know, this thing sets up on a Klefki, and I can put up a Swords Dance or two, even if it sets up a Reflect, and then I can start banging things with boosted Close Combats and other such moves and things. He doesn't have good fighting resists. His fighting resists are Victini, which is going to take a lot from a Guts Close Combat unless he's Fizz Def, which another thing he could bring for Mega Lop because he doesn't have much for that either. Non-Mega Gyarados, which I can nail with a Stone Edge, and yeah. And then after that, it's Roserade, which still takes a shit ton from Close Combat because Roserade's frail. And then Noivern, which, same thing, takes a shit ton. And I also have Stone Edge and Mega Horn, which hit Rose, and I have coverage to hit all of his fighting resists really, really goddamn hard. Or just straight kill them, which I think I can just straight kill all of his fighting resists with my coverage moves. So, Heracross, huge wall breaker. It's going to, if I can get it onto the field, unlike my game with Gareth, this thing will be there to put a shit ton of pressure on his team, force him to fodder off things, and give myself a score advantage, and just have him not be able to use things that would have been helpful for his team, or just severely weaken things, because this is going to be a slug match. We are going to be trading blows, because I think he's going to bring a very offensive team, and also this thing just blows away shit like Electros, and can take a hit from Hitmonlee unless it's Blaze Kick, which I'll have to be wary of. Hitmonlee's kind of a threat, by the way. It outspeeds the Mega Gyara and outspeeds the Mamoswine, and it can one-shot both of them with a Close Combat, which is pretty spicy, and also, yeah, Klefki switch in. So next, a very, very important member of the team. This is my win condition right here, my Mega Lopunny, yours. So I'm running Shiny, of course, because it's proven that Shiny is the superior Mega Lopunny form. So yeah, shout out Shady again, or Shoddy, my bad. So Megalop, and of course Limber because Klefki, and if Klefki's weak and we can pick it off with a non-mega high jump kick, we're gonna do that so that we don't get paralyzed, because getting paralyzed would be absolutely terrible because I don't have a Cleric on this team. I could have brought like Cleric Meloetta, but I really don't plan on allowing him to T-Wave it because I do have 2 immunities to it. and two things that don't really give a shit about it, and Heracross, which also doesn't really give a shit about it and actually benefits from it. So likelihood of him spamming T-Wave is low, I'd say. But still, Limber, good to have. I don't want to get paired on this thing because this is my win condition. And why is that? Because his team absolutely crumbles late game to Mega Lopunny because nothing outspeeds it. He has to bring some sort of Scarfer if he wants to, and I am prepared for any Scarfer on his team because any Scarfer he has is not going to be hitting me as hard, because the sets that I planned for, the offensive Mons that I planned for are the hardest hitting Mons, which would the hardest hitting sets that he could possibly have, which would be Banded or Life Orb or something, or Specs or something like that. So yeah, rant, but Fake Out, Return, High Jump Kick, and Retaliate with 48 in HP, Max Attack, and 208 Jolly. So this investment is going to let me outrun a +1 Adamant Mega Gyarados if he decides to go with an Adamant spread. There's no reason for him to bring Adamant. I don't think he should. There's no reason I would, because he should, because it underspeeds Mega Lop, and Mega Lop OHKOs it with High Jump Kick. So that's a thing. But Blue's is a wild shell. He can do what he wants. If he brings Adamant, that's fine with me. My Mons take a little more damage, but I have checks and stuff. And Lopunny just cleans his clock late game. If Victini's weakened, it dies to a return. If Mega Gyarados is like just mega, it dies to a High Jump Kick as long as I don't have the Intimidate. Mamo just dies. Klefki takes a shit ton, even though I don't want to 1v1 Klefki at all with this thing because I don't want to get paralyzed. Roserade should just die to Fake Out plus Return or with Retaliate. So, and the list goes on. Well, pretty much all of his team dies to Fake Out plus one of my stab moves after some chip damage. Retaliate was my move of choice because I really anticipate this to be an offensive match, and if I have to fodder something off, he has one good normal resist that's not a Gigalith, which is a good meme, and I don't think he's going to bring it because it's terrible against my team. But his one normal resist is Klefki, which does not want to switch into a Lopunny one bit, in my opinion. So if I fodder something off to, say, a Choice Banded Victini, and his Klefki is not in the picture, then I bring in Lopunny and I click Retaliate, and pretty much something just dies. Something will die if he doesn't have Klefki around to a Retaliate with Stealth Rocks up. Something just straight falls on its face because Retaliate's really, really goddamn strong. It's base 140 after a Mon dies. So I think this just makes it the perfect revenge killer, which is absolutely what I need. And my mom just like cheered or something and it scared the shit out of me. Oh my god. It's okay, it's okay. Okay. But Mega Lop is the win condition because his team is so weak to it late game. It's so incredibly weak to it late game, and if I can as long as I scout out Scarfers, Mega Lop will just be able to clean directly through his team once things are weakened, and that is kind of the goal. If I can set up Trick Room and break shit down, or even not rely on that, but just break shit down with Hera and Tangrowth and Thundy, that would be perfect, and that's my plan. And last but not least, this should actually be like, you should actually be in reverse order. It makes more sense that way, but it doesn't matter. And it's kind of interesting how I built it because I had all these things built which kind of just work. Each Mon complements the next even better because like Heracross has the same fighting thing, which it's likely that he's going to have to bring the same defensive Mon to try and check Heracross as he will Lopunny, and that's not going to work well because Heracross is going to shit on one of them. It's going to shit on the check, and then Lopunny's going to be able to pick it off, or if it's already dead, not worry about it. So I really love this fighting spam core, and the Volt Switch from Thundy's great. The luring with Tangrowth is great. If I can sleep something, that's ideal. I'm just really happy. I really, really, really like Mega Lop's matchup in this game. I think it's my best Pokemon against his team. And there's a reason, because Mega Lop's hella fucking good. And you'll see, I didn't bring Manaphy, which Manaphy could have been good in this game, but I needed these 6 Mons, and these 6 Mons performed better against his team than Manaphy did, in my opinion. So last, not least, should have been 5th to last or something like that, is Nidoqueen. So I'm bringing the Pony Doggo. Pony Doggo is like the best, is probably what I'd say is my captain of this team, though I don't really do that because we're all cool and shit. But Life Orb, Sheer Force, Nidoqueen just shits on his face. I've got Stealth Rock, Earth Power, Thunderbolt, and Sludge Wave with 244 HP, max special attack, modest, and 12 in speed. So speed, not really creeping anything, just to avoid potential creeps or something. I don't know. It was to outspeed Klefki, I guess, in case I was weak in some very unlikely situation where he could pick me off if he was faster. But that's probably not going to happen. Yeah. Nidoqueen is just very, very strong because what switches in? Most likely, Spadef Electros is his only switch into this thing. You could also potentially have like Spadef Roserade or Assault Vest Mamoswine. All of those things are fine. I can deal with them. And this is another thing that has the potential to absolutely just shred his team under Trick Room, because under the Trick Room I'm outpacing I'm just going before the Victini, going before that Mega Gyarados. I can deal a ton of damage to both of those. Thunderbolt does like 60 to 70%, which is insane because Nidoqueen's strong as hell, but Gyara's like ridiculously bulky, which is sad. Unfortunately, I really wanted Rocks this game because all he has to spin is Hitmonlee, which isn't very reliable, and his team is super Rocks weak. And Rocks just make my team work so much better because my team forces a buttload of switches, and that chip damage is ideal since his team has almost no good recovery outside of like Synthesis on Roserade, which he does run, and like Roost on Noivern, and I think that's it for his recovery options. So getting chip damage is ideal, and like I said, under the Trick Room, this thing can just blow huge holes in his team. Even outside of Trick Room, it blows it does a lot. Also, it's a very nice switch into Klefki because I can't get paralyzed and I don't take anything at all from either of his stab options, which I don't think he'll run an offensive move. He could very well run Magnet Rise, but I don't care because it just doesn't do anything to Hera and Thundy, so he could run Magnet Rise. I don't think he will though. But yeah, Stealth Rock, huge, very important that I get these up, and as long as he doesn't have Hitmonlee, they will stay up, but if he does have Hitmonlee, it's likely that he'll bring a Rapid Spin set because his team is weak as piss to Rocks. Earth Power is really nice coverage. His team is pretty ground weak, and then the things that aren't weak to ground are getting hit very hard by Thunderbolts or a Sludge Wave. Obviously, having Ice Beam to hit the Roserade and the Noivern super effectively would have been ideal, but I really wanted Stealth Rock, and my goal of this team is to not allow Gyarados to set up on anything, because every single Pokemon on my team has a move to hit the Gyarados super effectively, and they also just hit the remainder of his team very hard. So this thing, great wall breaker, gets my Rocks up, is a Hitmonlee check, so if he has Hitmonlee, gotta keep this thing healthy, because if he's unburdened thing, that's scary. Of course, I do also have my Tangrowth, which can not easily, but it takes a Life Orb, High Jump Kick, it lives it. Not well, but it lives it, and I also have a couple Fighting Resists, which could deter him from spamming Fighting move. But yeah, that is the team, and I put a lot of thought in this team, and I think this is going to give me the best chance to win because I have very strong offensive threats. I have a really strong lure in offensive Yachi Tangrowth. I have the ability to put something to sleep, which is going to be very helpful if I get the chance to do it. I've got Trick Room support for late game Toxic Orb Hera under Trick Room, scary. Late game or mid game Nidoqueen under Trick Room, scary. Any time of the game, or especially late if checks to this thing are weakened, Tangrowth under Trick Room, scary. My team is very strong against his, and obviously he has a lot of good mons against mine as well, but I'm very confident in this matchup, and I'm very confident that I can take this game, but it's going to be a dogfight, and I'm fully prepared to have to do everything I can. Differential doesn't matter at all. As long as I win, I'm in playoffs, and it's highly unlikely that I would be able to finish in first place unless Robin won like 1-0, and I won with a much higher differential than that. But I'm not playing for differential, I'm playing to win no matter what, and I think that this team will be able to do the job for me. Weaknesses, Hitmonlee is pretty scary, Banded Victini is pretty scary, but the thing is, if Banded Victini kills something, Megalop's going to kill something in return, which is pretty rad, and he just doesn't have good checks to lop anyways. Things I have to look out for: Scarf Victini, Scarf Mamoswine, and Scarf Noivern, and even Scarf Hitmonlee or Roserade. So I have to look out for things being scarfed. And I also checked Hitmonlee doesn't get Inner Focus. Nothing on his team has Inner Focus. Just double checking so that I can prepare around things, because I am checking for every possible scenario. I even tested to make sure that I could still apply taunts when Safeguard is active. So I'm taking no chances, and well, obviously I'm going to take a ton of chances and ton of risks, play offensively, and I think that's how we're going to win, and that's how we're going to make our second consecutive playoff berth. And this time, if we do make it, I think this is the team that takes us all the way to the championship. So 35 minutes of rambling. I really love this team, and I hope I can play 2 more games with it after this. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later. Peace.